We first heard about weapon mastery for the 2024 version of Dungeons & Dragons back in Playtest 5, which came out in April of 2023. GameMasters here, and once the 2024 Player's Handbook came out, and once weapon mastery was confirmed, we were provided with 8 total mastery properties: cleave, graze, nick, push, sap, slow, topple, and vex. Initially, I was not a fan of weapon mastery. I saw it as one more thing for a DM to keep up with in regards to creating combat scenarios. When players got into a fight, I'd need to keep in mind those 8 new elements for any given battle. Yeah, I eventually came around to being okay with weapon mastery, and keep in mind that a player can only access the mastery of a given weapon as long as they have taken a feature that grants them that, such as the weapon mastery feature. As I got into the groove of organizing the battle plan, I realized that the Player's Handbook offered up to the players 10 base weapons under the simple melee weapons category, 4 weapons under the simple ranged weapons category, 18 total weapons under the martial weapons category, and 6 weapons under the martial ranged weapons category. For those keeping up, that's a total of 38 different weapons. Yet, we only had 8 total mastery properties. So I took it several steps further and created 39 different weapon mastery properties. You'll note that I added in an extra one. In 2014, a net was considered a martial ranged weapon. While it did no damage, I've got one player that really fancies it, and the 2024 weapon list removed it and made it adventuring gear. So I added the net back in as a weapon. I also moved the javelin and spear from simple melee to simple ranged, as they are for the most part thrown weapons. I get that the dagger can also be a thrown weapon, but for what I'm going over today, the dagger is going to remain melee. And I moved the whip from martial melee to martial ranged. I'll explain that one when we get to it a little later in the video. I've got my list of new weapon mastery descriptions broken down in a similar fashion to how the 2024 Player's Handbook has it. Simple melee, simple ranged, martial melee, and martial ranged. I've also formatted them all into a PDF, and I'll have this available over on my Patreon. But right now, let's check them all out. Starting with the simple melee weapons, Club's slow mastery has been replaced with staggering blow. When you hit a creature with a club, it needs to succeed on a con saving throw, otherwise it's going to have disadvantage. The dagger's nick mastery has been replaced with quick strike, which works in a similar fashion but also a little different. When you make an attack with a dagger, you can choose to make a second attack as part of the same action. This second attack is going to do half damage and doesn't add in your modifier. The Great Club's push mastery has been replaced with crippling strike. When you hit a target with the Great Club, its movement speed is reduced by 10 feet. I kind of envision this heavy club basically smashing down onto your opponent, causing so much pain that your enemy isn't going to be able to do much in the way of movement. The hand axe's Vex Mastery, why I say that 3 times fast? The hand axe's Vex Mastery has been replaced with Brutal Chop. Brutal Chop lets you deal additional damage equal to your proficiency bonus. The light hammer's nick mastery has been replaced with stunning blow. When you hit a creature with a light hammer, it needs to pass a constitution saving throw. Otherwise, it cannot take a reaction until the start of your next turn. The mace's sap mastery has been replaced with bone breaker. And this one was pretty nasty for a simple melee weapon, but should you land a critical hit with a mace, the target's movement, speed, and damage rolls are halved until they can be healed. But let's face it, chances are if you're in the thick of battle, it's not very likely that they're going to get healed. Am I right? The quarterstaff's topple mastery has been replaced with defensive stance. When you wield a quarterstaff with both hands, you'll gain a +1 bonus to your armor class until the start of your next turn. The sickle's nick mastery has been replaced with grapple blade. I wanted something kind of unique with this weapon, certainly something that set it apart from nick, which was originally shared with the dagger's mastery. Looking at a sickle, and we have this cool hook in its blade. Incorporating that into this weapon mastery, when you hit a creature your size or smaller with the sickle, you can use a bonus action to attempt to trip it, grapple it with the curve of the blade. If successful, they will take on the grappled condition. Now, again, I fully realize that some of those have been a little overpowered, may have been overpowered. I've only now fully completed this list, and we've had our first playtest of some of these this past weekend. Well, just at least shortly before this video aired. But I can say this, it's made our combat pretty interesting. Very epic and a lot of fun. As we move through these, if you see something that you'd like to talk about, pause the video. Let me know what's on your mind down in the comments. For now, though, let's jump on into the simple ranged weapons. The dart's mastery of Vex has been replaced with Pinpoint. When you land a successful ranged attack with a dart, should you roll a 1 for damage, you can re-roll the damage die and use the new roll. It'll be the DM's discretion if you can hit a bullseye should you enter a dart throwing contest down at the local tavern. But I'll be honest with you, at my table, should you have the Pinpoint mastery for darts, yeah, you're going to hit that bullseye. The Javelin's slow mastery has been replaced with precise throw. Keep in mind, this is a weapon that was originally listed under melee, but it's designed to be thrown. So with precise throw, you can ignore disadvantage when throwing a javelin beyond normal range. In addition, you also gain advantage with this mastery. The light crossbow's mastery of slow has been replaced with quick reload. The light crossbow has a property called loading. Most weapons that use ammunition do, and that requires you to use an action or bonus action to essentially load the item, load the weapon. With quick reload, you can reload it as part of the same action, which allows you to shoot it faster without spending that action or bonus action. The shortbow's mastery of Vex has been replaced with sniper focus. Provided you do not move on your previous turn, you've steadied yourself, you took your time and lined up your shot, and you gain advantage on that attack roll. The sling's slow mastery has been replaced with ricochet. I like this one. When you hit a creature with the sling's ammo, a second creature that is within 5 feet of the first is going to take half damage as the rock or the ball bearing or whatever it is that you shot ricochets off the main target and hits the secondary target. The visual in my mind just kind of makes me smile a bit. The spear's sap mastery has been replaced with pinning strike. This is another one that was originally under simple melee, and while it's one that could be categorized under both, I'm envisioning it being thrown. Pinning strike lets you, as a reaction, when a creature moves within 15 feet of you, you can make a thrown attack with the spear. Should it hit, the target will take 1d6 damage and their movement is halved. I've had a question pop up from time to time asking what's the difference between simple weapons and martial weapons. The way I like to describe it, simple weapons are ones that most people can pick up and just use. Consider a mace. It's something that a farmer or even a commoner can pick up and just bonk stuff with little risk or injury to themselves. Martial weapons, however, require a bit more training in order to wield them without injury to oneself. Martial weapons are weapons designed for war. They are designed to slice and dice, smash and gore in absolute. That in mind, let's take a look at the martial melee weapons. The battle axe's topple mastery has been replaced with Sunder Strike. When you hit a creature with a battle axe, you can reduce its armor class by 1. Originally, I had this also included that the reduction lasted until the end of the target's next turn, but I ultimately removed that because what's it going to do? A quick repair between turns? This means that it can be used on your turn after turn, and ultimately wear down that AC. Is that too powerful? Yeah, it's possible, but I figure why not? It's most likely going to be a battle to the death anyways, right? The flail's mastery of sap has been replaced with stunning swing. When you hit a creature with flail, they need to pass a constitution save. Otherwise, they're going to have disadvantage. The glaive's graze mastery has been replaced with sweeping strike. And here's how I see it. The glaive has some power behind it. As such, when you land a blow and deal damage, that swing is going to keep on going. Should there be another creature within 5 feet of the first, you get an additional attack roll against it as well. The great axe's cleave mastery has been replaced with savage blow. And you want powerful? When you score a critical hit with a great axe, roll not 1, but 2 additional damage die. powerful. The greatsword's graze mastery has been replaced with chopping slice. When you attack with a greatsword, its damage type is both slashing and bludgeoning. The halberd's mastery of cleave has been replaced with reach. If you are wielding a halberd, a very long weapon, and an enemy comes within 10 feet of you, you get an opportunity attack against it. The lance's topple mastery has been replaced with joust. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line before landing a successful blow, the attack is going to do an extra 1d6 damage. The longsword's sap mastery has been replaced with versatile strike. Grab the sucker with 2 hands and you'll be able to dish out an extra 1d8 damage, in addition to the 1d8 slashing damage that it can already do. The maul's topple mastery has been replaced with knockback. Yeah, I kind of cheated a little with this one. When you hit a creature with a maul, you can push it up to 10 feet away from you. Let me know down in the comments what you'd change the mastery of the maul to. The Morningstar's Sap Mastery has been replaced with Piercing Impact. I like this one. When you hit a creature with a Morningstar, you can ignore resistance to non-magical bludgeoning damage, and it becomes piercing damage instead. I figure all of the little spikes that are on the head of that weapon, that's going to cause piercing damage. The Pike's Push Mastery has been replaced with Hold the Line. Should a creature move within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack. Upon a successful hit with the pike, you stop the creature's movement altogether and prevent it from getting closer to you. The Rapier's Mastery of Vex, that was a pretty fun one to change. It's been replaced with Riposte. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack back. If it hits, it's going to deal an extra 1d4 damage. The Scimitar's Nick Mastery has been replaced with Swift Cut. When you hit a creature with your scimitar, you can make an additional attack. That second attack deals half damage, and you don't add in your modifier. The short sword's Vex Mastery has been replaced with Feint. After you hit a monster with your short sword, you can make a dexterity check against the target's AC. On a success, you gain advantage on your next attack against that target. The Trident's Topple Mastery has been replaced with Impale. When you hit a creature with a trident, they need to make a strength saving throw. Otherwise, they're going to be restrained. The Warhammer's Push Mastery has been replaced with Stunning Blow. Hitting a creature with a Warhammer makes the target need to make a Constitution save. If it fails, well, it's going to be considered restrained until the start of your next turn. The Warpick's Sap Mastery has been replaced with Piercing Strike. Should you attack a creature wearing medium or heavy armor, your attack against them with a Warpick completely bypasses that AC bonus of their armor. This was a big chunk of weapons, but hey, martial melee weapons make up a sizable swath of the weapons you can pick up. Next up, however, are the martial ranged weapons. I had some fun with the stereotypical blowgun, and its mastery of Vex was replaced with Venom. Should you hit a creature with a blowgun's ammo, it needs to succeed on a Constitution saving throw. Otherwise, it's poisoned until the end of its next turn. And I like this new mastery a lot, but I'm a little hesitant on the poison. And perhaps all of your darts are just kind of chilling in a vial of nasty liquid. The hand crossbow's Vex mastery was replaced with Accuracy. When you attack with your hand crossbow at a creature within 30 feet, you gain a +2 bonus to the attack and damage roll. The heavy crossbow's push mastery has been replaced with Pinning Bolt. Instead of pushing the creature up to 10 feet away, its movement is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. The longbow's mastery of Slow has been replaced with Perfect Aim. When you aim at a target that is beyond normal range, you have advantage on those attack rolls. The musket, it originally had the Slow mastery, and that has been replaced with Armor Piercing. When you hit a creature with a musket, you ignore any armor class bonus provided by non-magical armor for that attack. Remember how net was in the 2014 Player's Handbook, but it was removed in the 2024 version? Okay, so I've got player that really likes it, so we've added it back in and have given it a mastery called Entangle. When you hit a creature with a net, you can use a bonus action to attempt to restrain that creature. While this won't do any damage, which is why I suspect that they removed it, it will ultimately help the party by locking that creature down so it can easily be hit. As I mentioned earlier in the video, and just a few seconds ago, I've got that one specific player that uses a net quite often, and they really wanted to see it back in. The pistol's mastery of Vex has been replaced with staggering shot. I'll admit, not many of my games involve pistols. I accept that they're found within the realm of fantasy, we just rarely use them. However, should you want to include one, staggering shot makes it so that when you hit a creature with a pistol, it needs to succeed on a Constitution saving throw. Otherwise, it's going to have disadvantage on its next attack roll. And then we have whip. And I'll bet you thought that I had almost forgotten about that one. Now, whip was originally a martial melee weapon, and while it doesn't have a projectile element, it does reach out. In fact, it has a weapon property of reach, effectively adding 5 feet when you attack with it, specifically regarding opportunity attacks. I still consider it to be a ranged weapon, and as such, that's where it's fallen in my table. The whip originally had the Vex mastery, and it's been replaced with trip. When you hit a creature with your whip, you can use a bonus action to attempt to trip the target. It needs to succeed on a dexterity saving throw, otherwise it's going to fall prone. Now, I said this earlier, a lot of these may be a bit overpowered, but I was just not a fan of seeing the original masteries recycled over and over. I wanted something unique per weapon. Again, if you see anything that is blatantly broken, let me know down in the comments. It was a lot of fun crafting these new masteries up, but at a certain point I got to thinking, well, what about armor? Shouldn't we have some mastery options for armor as well? So I made some. But that's for another video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll be posting it up very, very soon. Thank you for watching today's video. My name is Brian, and I've been playing and running role-playing games since the 1980s. A major thanks also goes out to my YouTube and Patreon members, as their support of this channel has certainly made it so that I didn't need to take on a sponsored ad for today's video. If you would like to check out on how to become a YouTube or Patreon member, I'll leave a link down in the description. Plus, it's posted just below my little talking box here. Speaking of Patreon, members there will have access to this entire list via a PDF that I've carefully put together. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out. Also, too, jump into the GameMasters Discord. We've got a great group of folks in there, and we get to chatting about all kinds of things. If you'd like to help shape the future of this channel by suggesting content, Discord is a great location to share your ideas with me, as is the comments section down below. Weapon mastery has certainly grown on me. I'm going to seriously playtest all of what I've presented today with my players, and if you dive into any of the ones that I've provided today, let me know how it turns out. And let me know, too, what other weapons would you add in, and what would their masteries be? Let's keep the conversation going down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you master the weapon of your choosing.